Alright, today I'm going to be making a breadboard and it's going to receive a custom epoxy inlay. Alright, so this is my piece of walnut. It's about 20 inches long. I think when it's all said and done, this is going to be about 1.5 feet, somewhere around there. I'm going to go ahead and start sketching out the design and then we'll take this over to the bandsaw. Alright, I got this roughed out pretty well on the bandsaw, so I'm going to go ahead and clean it up on the belt sander a little bit. And then we'll route the edges. The time has come for the resin inlay. Now what I'm going to do for this is sketch out kind of a little design on the bottom. I think I'm going to do like maybe 2 or 3 triangles, maybe 4. And I'm going to be basically carving these out with a router. I'm not going to go all the way through the wood. I'm just going to go maybe halfway, probably not even halfway. I'm going to be filling those holes with the epoxy resin and I'm going to be dyeing that probably red or orange. I'm thinking orange right now. And I'm going to be using food coloring. I'm just going to mix that in with the resin. Now, I'm not using a straight edge for this at all. I'm just using a little bracket here. I'm going to kind of flip it over and get my triangles with it. So just make do with what's on the table right now. Alright, this is going to be it. We'll go ahead and cut that out with the router. I'm using a palm router here. Alright, it's time to go ahead and fill the inlays on this breadboard. I'm using a 2-step epoxy. This is the Loctite Heavy Duty. I've got the hardener and the resin. I'm also going to be mixing in food coloring. This is yellow. Couldn't decide between red and orange, so I went with yellow. So we're going to go ahead and get this all mixed up together and we should have a pretty cool resin. It's important to wear gloves. I mean, this stuff isn't gonna kill you, but it just sucks when you get it on your hands. So I've got about 5 minutes with these, 5-minute epoxy. So So they're gonna get equal halves. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour the hardener in here. I'm just using a little steel tray. And I'll probably have to add more. Maybe I'll just do a couple of the triangles with this load. It looks like it's about half and half to me. I'm just using a little stick. This is just a piece of hardboard. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need a lot more than this. This will probably do one triangle. All right, I'm gonna mix that in. It should be good enough. Yeah, it's amazing how quickly one drop of food coloring will spread. I'm gonna get this mixed up. I'll start just globbing this in. Put as much in there as you can. And you're gonna get little air bubbles, and I'll show you how to fix that in a second. Alright, so I've got a ton of little air bubbles in here. It's almost impossible to do this without getting that. So the way you're gonna fix this problem is I just got a little bit of MAP gas here. I'm gonna go ahead and burn it, but from a distance. I can't get this hot. I'm just getting it warm enough to pull the air out of the resin. So I'm just gonna lick it like that and just take a closer look. Each time I do it, I'm losing bubbles, so that's good. That should be good enough. If there's any bubbles that have surfaced by the end, I can always just touch that up with a little more resin. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix up some more and finish this other hole I've started before it starts to dry. And another thing you can do is warm this resin up. I didn't even think to do it this time, but in the past I've stuck these bottles in warm water and just let them sit for a little bit, and it makes it a little bit more liquidy and not as thick, and that's another way to avoid bubbles. And I'm overfilling these just a little bit. This stuff doesn't expand at all when it dries. In fact, sometimes it shrinks. So it's alright to just let this bubble over a little bit. This is all going to be sanded anyway. Alright. And this is, if I can get this in focus, this is what we have. These are jam-packed full of resin. There's a little bit of resin floating on top of each of them. Looks like a huge mess right now, but should clean up nicely. And we're just gonna go ahead and let this dry for 24 hours. So I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, it's day 2. It's been 24 hours since I put the resin in, and it's totally dry. It's fully cured, really hard, and I think it came out pretty nice. It's a lot darker than I was hoping. I was hoping for more of a brighter yellow. So on future builds like this, I'm definitely gonna put some more coloring into the epoxy. So I'm gonna go ahead and chisel as much of this off as I can, and then we'll go ahead and sand it. Alright, so I was having some trouble getting this resin off with the chisel. I ended up sending it through the planer, and I think it did a pretty good job, but it's exposing some air bubbles that I must have missed when I was trying to nick it with that blowtorch. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and patch these up a little bit and throw some more in there. But overall, I think it's turning out pretty well. Really simple design. And I'm happy with how thick this resin is in here. Definitely need to patch some of these holes though. There's about 4 or 5 little tiny bubbles, especially in that bottom triangle right there. So go ahead and mix up some more epoxy and try to fix these holes, match the color the best we can. Alright, I ended up just mixing up some epoxy and throwing it into just about every little tiny bubble I could. I ended up spreading it over all 4 of the triangles. I found a lot more air bubbles than I thought I would. So we're going to go ahead and let this sit, then I'm just going to hand sand it. So this is where I'm at with the inlay right now. The color's not as bright as I was hoping. I actually mixed up some more epoxy and did 3 more boards. Those are drying right now, but I'll have those featured at the end of the video. I'm gonna go ahead and route the edges of this now, just using a round over bit. Alright, we're all set to go ahead and start oiling this. I'm going to be using Watco Butcher Block. It's a really good food safe oil. I've used it in my last 2 videos. So we're going to keep throwing it onto that wood until it doesn't soak it up anymore. This dark walnut really oils up nicely. You can see the inlay in there. A little bit darker than I was hoping for, but hopefully the other ones I tested out are going to work a little bit nicer for me. I'm gonna go ahead and start pouring this on. Really soak it into this wood. Howard's Butcher Block Conditioner. This stuff is awesome. I'm just going pretty heavy with this stuff. That's looking really nice now. It's got that nice wax finish. This stuff isn't completely necessary, but it's just a nice backup to that oil. It's really going to help keep this wood protected. So here is the finished piece. Overall, this is a pretty cool project. I haven't done a lot of inlay work, never with food coloring. So it was interesting seeing how this came out. Here's another one I did. This isn't sanded or oiled, but I just kind of did a little pass right there. Here's 2 more, a little bit more intricate that I worked on. It's got a little teepee on that one and a couple mountains here. I think they're pretty cool. Still need to wrap the edges on them, but this walnut here with the oil just finished up so nicely. It always does. And if you guys have some tips for working with inlays, please leave them in the comment section below. Definitely interested in learning because I want to do more of these. And I want to do the best method possible. So yeah, share your knowledge with me, and hopefully you learned something here. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.